certainly the
Grid One Motorsports donated $100. Surprisingly based there. Question for the panel: are you a feminist, and if so, what does that mean to you?
We'll go around the table on that. Do you consider yourself a feminist, and what does that mean to you?
I do consider myself a feminist. What does that mean? A feminist to me means that it's a recognition that there is inequality in the ways in which women and men are treated, and that there's a history of inequality. And it's the fight to reconcile those differences, not so that men and women are the same, but that they're given the same opportunities. And
so you think like women should have to register for the draft, for example? Because you believe in like equality between the sexes. So you think should women be able to be drafted for the military?
No, I don't. I think that there's a difference between sameness and fairness. I think sameness says, yes, women should be drafted in the military just like men should. Fairness is understanding that women can be taken advantage in ways that men will not be taken advantage of, like sexually. Women can be...
Men are actually also can be just taken advantage of in that way too.
So that's true. But given like the history of what it is to be a woman, it seems like women have more abuse when it comes to that. And women are also more susceptible, and we're also like the physically weaker sex. And so, yeah, and also our hormones are very different, like in the way in which I don't even know if all the women here at this table really understand like the infradian rhythm, like, because we're not taught about our cycle and the different hormones that we go through in a 28-day cycle. Yes, we know about our periods, but we don't, a lot of us are just now learning about like the follicular phase, the luteal phase, like, and how all of these different hormones affect our emotions, and understanding all of that. Like, there's a lack of knowledge and understanding when it comes to being a woman in general. So, yeah.
Okay, to back up a second, with your sameness and fairness thing, to be honest with you, it kind of sounds to me like you want equality as long as it's benefiting women, but when it's not benefiting women and men can take the brunt of it, you're like, that's cool. Like, I'm fine with that.
Yeah. How do you see that?
Well, I mean, if we lived in like a properly feminist world, there wouldn't be affirmative action initiatives to put more women in positions of like workplace positions and in academic positions. If we had a truly equal world, women, like I said, would get drafted into the military. Like, I think if feminists want to truly fight for equality, it's like, put your money where your mouth is. But if you only want equality when it's benefiting you, then it's not. You don't actually want equality. You just want a world that benefits women more often.
Saint_easy donated $99. I don't understand why men are confused about playing the provider role. Women get pregnant, and for the better part of a year they are more or less immobilized and dependent on their partner. Gender roles exist for a reason. It's not that hard to figure.
If it's too much for too long, we'll boost it. I think you're about to respond. Thank you, Saint.
To this question?
No. Just
to what I just said.
So, do you want me to specifically address?
It just seems to me like feminists want equality where it benefits them, but when it comes to actual equality, like working all of the roughest jobs in the world, for example, that are extremely dangerous and high risk, like when it comes to those jobs, feminists never want equality there. They only want equality in the places where it benefits them. But when men have to pick up the rest of the slack, they're like, "Yep, that's fine. Like, we don't want equality there. You go do that, men." You know, it's like I don't think you actually want equality. I think you just want more benefits for women.
If you're defining equality as
equal outcomes throughout society.
Equal outcomes throughout society.
What do you mean, equal opportunity, or
no? Like
we all do the exact same thing.
Women talk about wanting equality throughout society, but
I think equality is a tough term because if by equality
do you want equal opportunity instead?
I think whatever you're talking about, like defining equality as...
do you want equality of outcome or equality of opportunity?
I would say that I don't think that women are fighting for... okay, so...
Do you want equality of outcome or equality of opportunity? Because I'm talking about equality of outcome. But if you want what many feminists want, which is equality of opportunity, I guess the question I have is, What opportunities do I have that you don't?
Okay, I would say that this is how I would respond to that answer. I think that, you know,
Grid
Telling
one
you we should
month
raise
ago
the
TTS.
donated
This is crazy.
$100. Well, that was short-lived. Men are more likely to be sick than women.
see.
Women have rights men do not have. Men have no parental rights. Feminism has failed you. How can the patriarchy help you today?
If it does it like more, we'll boost it. Go ahead.
okay. I think that women were in a position for a very long time where we were being treated very horribly, and we still are in positions where we're treated very unfairly and very horribly.
Well, how so?
Well, what evidence do you have that throughout history, broadly speaking, all women or most women were treated, I think, did you say poorly or unfairly?
I think she said horribly.
Horribly.
Yeah.
It's not clear to me if women were specifically because of their gender or just because they were women or happened to be women that they were treated horribly.
I mean, there were people who were being burned at the stake because someone called them a
Like
witch.
the Salem witch trials?
Yeah, like that I would
There were
say is
also
unfair.
like men who were enslaved and forced into
Yeah.
conscripted labor and military service that women were protected from.
Yeah, I'm not saying it wasn't bad for men, but I would say that there are just, yeah.
I think before we continue, because the initial question was asking everybody if you consider yourself a feminist, why don't we just go around the table,
Yeah.
get everybody's answer to that.
Yeah.
Do you consider yourself a feminist, and what does that mean to you?
Yes. And to me, I think that means equal opportunity. Also outcome, though, right? Because honestly, at the end of the day, if a woman does want to be drafted or does want to go fight for our country, why not let her? Yeah, like
It's not about women not being able to serve. It's more that men have to register for the selective
Right.
service and women don't have
Well,
to.
I think the argument is like, might as well then make it equal, though, right? Because
So you think women should be drafted for the military?
in order to prove this point, sure, we can say that, just because.
I think that's a terrible idea.
I mean, but the thing is, you're
I'm for it.
because the
I'm
thing.
absolutely
for it.
not
But
for it. I don't want
anatomy-
my daughters getting drafted.
Well,
as
yeah.
Okay, wait, so.
But
sorry. After you go.
anatomy wise, like Pro was saying, we're born not as strong upper body wise. Like, for example, like I knew this one lady, I forget her name, but she was like this karate instructor, and I saw her do more push-ups than all these men that were like jacked. But the way she had to work so much harder to get it like that than them, because it is a little bit like naturally easier for a man to bulk up doing upper body stuff, whatever.
not just a little bit,
like
It's a
yeah,
lot.
right. So I feel like when it comes to, you're addressing a lot of physical jobs, right? So I feel like in now flipping the script of like a lot of caregiver jobs, I feel like women have, and you guys can't give birth. We can never give you that, like as a thing to do. Like we will always be the person to bear a child and go through that and put our bodies through that. So it's like at the end of the day, complete equal everything is technically not possible if you're talking about physical jobs, physical things, because anatomy wise, genetically, we are different. So it's like there's only so far that argument, we're gonna reach a ceiling with that stuff. But when it comes to opportunity, like, and what Pro was saying, I feel like going off of that, as I'm in the music industry, I go to a lot of talks, I see a lot of women that have gained very, very powerful roles in the music industry, but it's like 1 in 5 on the panel where there's like an A&R that's a woman, and the way she explains how she got there and how she, you know, a lot of the time is in a room full of men, and it takes a very, I think, well-rounded, educated group of people to, when a woman speaks up in the room, treat her and respect her word just as much as a man. I think I do see that a lot, and sometimes it's subconscious as well. So I think it's bringing everything to a conscious state of when a woman speaks and a man speaks at an equal educational level. Let's say you respect both their word evenly. Like that is what feminism is to me.
And do you think that because you used female A&R, that's art, something in repertoire? What does that
An
stand for?
A&R works at a label and kind of like scouts new talent,
Yeah,
listens to music.
What does it stand for though? I think it's blank. I forgot what the A stands for,
I'm
but it's
forgetting.
blank in repertoire. Do you think that this discrepancy is due to sexism?
Somewhat, maybe.
Okay. Do you think the fact that, for example, that women earn more in modeling, or that women earn more in the sex work industry, do you think that that's evidence of sexism against men?
I mean, I don't know much. I don't know. I mean, maybe.
Yeah, and I do want to go around the table, get everyone's answer on this, just to add on one thing. Do you think, for example, women's NBA or women's soccer, the fact that they get paid less, or women's tennis, for example,
You think that's unfair?
Do you think that that's unfair or evidence of sexism?
I mean, I do, because if I'm looking at the work that a person does, like if like a female soccer player, why is she not getting paid just as much as a male soccer player?
Do you want to know the answer to that?
Well, I know.
Maybe we have everyone else give their take on that. But so here, let's go around the table. Are you feminist? What does that mean to you? What do you think about women getting paid less in the WNBA, soccer, athletic fields, etc.?
I'm not a feminist. I definitely like more traditional.
Based.
But I guess for me, I think in today's world, like men just like, they want that kind of woman without being like the type of man that deserves that kind of woman, right? It's like, if you want me to rub your feet, make your food, wash your clothes, all that stuff, but yet you're not providing for me, you're not even giving me like, you're not even making me a priority, right? So I don't know, I guess I feel like that part is like lost on, I don't know, this generation.
You want a traditional world where women can be traditional and the men are also traditional, and they're actually living up to those values.
Definitely. Like if I had a man that was actually living up to those values, I would.
Not a dude who's like afraid to go into the dispensary.
Not to be clear, he's not a bad guy. He's not. He's just different personalities. But yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but a feminist is someone, I think, who believes in women's rights and really advocates for them, right? I'm just, unfortunately, I wouldn't consider myself one. And I think that the WNBA don't get it because it's like views, right? Like there's way more views for the NBA, so it's like the money that people are putting into it, it's like not as much.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Would you consider yourself a feminist?
I don't think I would consider myself a feminist. I support women, but I guess I just don't identify with the current feminist values.
Why is that?
I feel like modern feminism, I mean, I'm totally cool not getting drafted. I don't want to get drafted.
As you should be.
I do not want to.
Yes.
I'm okay with not being completely equal.
Yep.
I think it works out better.
Yeah, it's good for a society
way.
to protect its women from war.
I think so.
Yeah. We shouldn't send them into the meat grinder.
I don't want to go.
Yeah. I think that's totally fair and reasonable as well.
But again,
They want to go to war though.
That's not always said.
I'm kidding.
but yeah, I support women. But I'm cool not being totally, completely like equal.
Okay.
That's fine with me.
Cool. How about yourself? Would you consider yourself a feminist?
I'm gonna preface this by saying that I am not educated in the matter, but I am more like Jacqueline, where I'm very traditional. I am also, which is kind of like contradictory, I'm also very independent. Like I have my own full-time job. I don't need a man to rely on for money or anything. But also at the same time, I grew up traditional, so I don't know anything else, to be quite honest.
Sweet. Cool. How about yourself?
I'm not a feminist. I do believe in equal opportunity, but I don't think that it makes sense for us to advocate for that in today's society.
Why are you not a feminist?
Because women already have all the opportunities men have.
Do you feel like feminism was like a healthy movement? Do you feel like it's become unhealthy at this point?
Yeah, it's toxic.
Why is it toxic?
Because it's making men feminine and women masculine.
So true. So true. How about yourself?
I don't think I'm a feminist, but I wouldn't consider myself like traditional because I wouldn't want to stay home. I think like both genders should have like kind of like if they're smart and if they're really good at like coding, for example, then I think they should get into coding. But I don't think if you're
speaking to the mic a little bit more.
If you're like not qualified for the job, I don't think you should be selected just because you're like a woman or like man.
So you feel like if a woman's qualified for a job, she should be able to get it?
Yeah, if she's actually qualified.
Do you intend on having a family someday?
Yeah, of course.
Do you want to have kids?
Yeah.
Would you want to keep working while you're pregnant and stuff?
Well, I code. I can just code at home.
Okay. Cool. How about yourself, Emily? Feminist?
No, I wouldn't consider myself a feminist. I don't really like the new wave. I mean, people talk about like third wave, fourth wave feminism. There's just like too many. I feel like women already have all of the equal opportunity that we need and that we wanted. But now it's begun to like take this sort of turn where it's like we want to support all women, but it's not women we're always supporting. So I would say I'd rather protect women, and no, I don't want to get drafted. So.
What do you mean it's not always women who you're supporting, Emily?
So I'd say I see more.
Are you telling me it hurts women for trans women to go into their bathrooms? Is that what you're telling me right now?
Yeah, I think it hurts women for feminists to support that movement because you're putting women in an unsafe situation 9 times out of 10. And yeah, most often than not, I see the feminists supporting that kind of thing, so I wouldn't really identify myself with that.
Are you telling me that feminism has gone way too far?
Yeah, it's not even like the same thing it was back in the 60s or anything.
Are you telling me it's low-key destroying our modern world?
I think you're pretty base, yeah.
We're back. Yeah. We're back. Where do you want to take it from there?
Let's see. Well, that was the chat. So there was.
You want to talk about why WNBA players?
Yeah, I need
less?
to give these here. Maybe you guys can pass these down to give one to Tiffany and give one to.
Anonymous donated
sit on these guys.
$99.
You guys need C boosters.
Chase, you're causing mightism to flare up. That, or it's the vaccine. Change your shirt so you don't have a floating head on that background. Bring
Yeah, it
back
does.
King
It's
Diddley.
like.
Yeah, I look like I'm blending in. I'm like camouflaged right
Make
now.
him
Camo,
wear
yeah.
an orange jumpsuit. Jesus is the way.
All
Sorry
right,
for causing your tism to act up, Anonymous. Anyways, to go back to the WNBA thing, your position is one that I've heard many, many women say, and especially like you can look at the women's soccer team, the national women's soccer team for the USA. They're always like talking about how unfair it is that they get paid less money. Mm-hmm. The reason why it's like that is because sports and sports broadcasting is a business. Mm-hmm. And the reality is far less people want to watch women play soccer. It's not like there's not some like, gosh.
Grid 1 Motorsports donated $100. Okay, Chase, last one. Sorry it throws you off. Ladies that think you are feminist, please try and understand that men value you, but feminism must devalue men.
It's true.
Curious what qualities do you look for in a man?
Here, we'll come back to.
Yeah, I think we should get
I'll
back
write
to
that
that.
question down. We'll come back to that. So.
Yeah, but it ultimately comes down to like there's not like a
Right.
governmental organization that's like we're gonna pay them this much.
For sure.
The teams play. There's advertisers that
Yeah.
pay advertising money, and then
Right.
they get like it's a business. They get a cut of that.
But I also think it's because men for so long have been in a position of power and have been looked at as like the more physical, whatever, are the ones who go out and work, are the ones who do sports, are the ones who do this. So they have more years of it being socially acceptable. It's like
It's not.
it's
I hate to
more
burst your bubble.
Wait,
It's
looked
not.
I don't
at.
think it's that complicated.
But related to that, hold on.
Go _the_TBL_yes_or_no donated $99. Be honest, do you think it's possible that men outperform women in hierarchies not involving sex plus beauty, not because of sexism but because men have to acquire power and resources to attract women, and so invest more hours, effort, and energy on competence?
It's actually a really good point.
Yeah, it is.
Because there is a mating pressure on men because there's a lot of women who want men to be providers, but there's not a lot of men who want women to be providers. Ergo, there's a larger cohort of women who, in a partner, desire a guy who can provide, a guy who makes good money. Therefore, can you make the argument that if there's this massive pressure from the opposite sex for men to make money, that they're probably going to want, like, have a more of a...
There's performance pressure.
There's
we
a
have
performance
to perform.
pressure.
We have to perform. See, that's the thing. Women, oftentimes, almost always, are selected by men because of their physical appearance, their personality, their energy, so on and so forth. Women, generally speaking, don't really select men based on just their physical appearance. Obviously, women care about personality. Every woman likes a funny man, for example, and a guy with confidence. But men, in order to, really secure a woman, we have to perform. We have to make money. We have to be able to provide, especially if you want a traditional woman. Like, we have to perform in society and provide value. So there's like competition, right? And the men who are performing the highest typically get the most attractive women, right? This is why like the celebrities, the athletes, all of these like wealthy businessmen, they have the greatest selection when it comes to women. So there's a huge competition among men to perform at the highest levels possible, but women don't have to compete in that same way in order to lock down a partner. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is kind of what drives this inequality throughout society. Like, you have
one of the factors.
Yeah, it's one of the factors. Like, think about like all the billionaires in the world. They're almost all men. Because men, we have this, we were talking about hormones before. Men have the hormone testosterone. This makes us competitive. It makes us aggressive. Mm-hmm. Because of the hormone testosterone, you often have like super driven men that are like extremely focused on their career and bringing value to society, and they become obsessed with their careers, mm-hmm. and they make billions of dollars and they rise to the top of the hierarchy. And dudes are driven to do this for any number of reasons. Oftentimes, pulling in the best women is one of those motivating factors, whether or not men are conscious of it. So you have this natural thing that's driving massive inequality in society that just exists in nature. And I don't think it's because of sexism that exists. I think it's just because of human nature. You guys think that's fair?
I think that is fair.
Yeah?
Yeah. I think that is fair. It's the same pressure that women feel to be as beautiful as they possibly can.
Exactly.
And so it's the exact same pressure. So if men are like, well, you don't have to wear makeup, you don't have to buy all this stuff, it's like, well, I don't have to, but I do. I have to outperform other women with my beauty in order to attract the kind of man who's performing to be whatever, have the most resources or whatever, because men are valued for their resources and women are valued for their beauty.
That's absolutely correct.
That's biology. That's how we're made.
Go ahead. You had something?
Quick, can I say something before that, though? I think there's many different forms of feminism, but I think the reason that the feminist movement had to happen, although yes, it can be extreme, is because men abused that power, and because they created the structure of the workforce to benefit them. Yes, maybe in an ideal world, if men like protected women and we didn't have to suffer and be scared every time I went outside. I carry pepper spray everywhere I go just in case, and we hear all of these stories that are like, I'm being put in danger. I need a man to protect me from other men. Who knows what a society would be like if there wasn't that kind of abuse? And I'm not saying that women don't do anything, but I'm saying we're just all fucked up, and we need each other to help us balance the scales. And for a really long time, there was just this huge inequality as far as safety goes. So I think women are saying I need to feel safe. I need some power. I need some financial power because these men are making me feel unsafe. You know what I'm saying? So that's why we kind of needed that feminism.
I think women are much less safe now than they were under the protection of a man who actually loved them. I think nowadays you have so many strong, independent women out there that are like boss babes, and they're out there working, and they're walking alone late at night throughout major cities, and they don't have a man who's protecting them, and these women get assaulted, mm-hmm. Whereas back in the day, throughout traditional, what you might call patriarchal societies, women were accompanied by men oftentimes where they would go, because yes, the world is a brutal place. It always has been throughout all of human history. I would argue that women were oftentimes safer back then. I would also argue too, what you call, or what many feminists call liberation, and bringing women into the workforce so that they could get their independence, and this is something that they secured for their own good. I would plant the seed.
Grid One Motorsports donated $100.
It's killing the convo.
Sumi. Copy Kiko, please. You carry mace because of feminism. Men used to protect women, but you have shamed them into being soy boys. Realize that men are not the evil you want them to be.
What's a soy
Copy
boy?
Kiko.
I think we should raise it to 150 so we can have conversation go on for more than 2 minutes.
Maybe Grid, if you can give us 30 minutes just to get through this conversation.
Mm-hmm. I think that, I hear a lot of women talk about how they secured independence through joining the workforce, and there's an argument to be made there. I also think this idea of liberation and empowerment through working, you know, I talked about this on the last episode. Read Alexandra Tocqueville's writings. Like, the women of the 1800s in America, they did not see themselves by and large as oppressed. Like, they knew where their domain was, and that was in the home, and they had pride in mastering that. And they raised awesome families, and they were awesome wives, and there was dignity in that position. Like, to be a great homemaker, it's a very important role, right? I think getting women out of that position and into the workforce, for the people at the top who run this whole society, now all of a sudden you have twice the amount of people that are working in industry to support this entire capitalist superstructure and then paying taxes. It's possible that what you call women's liberation has actually been exploiting women as taxpayers when they might be much happier at home as wives and homemakers.